What will they think? Now, unfortunately, a lot of people hold themselves back because of that question. I know in my own case, that was one of the things that probably held me back for the longest time. It wasn't that I didn't know enough. It wasn't that I didn't have some kind of talent. It's not that I didn't have the right equipment or that I couldn't get my hands on the right equipment. It was that question, what will they think? Now, if you've been listening to this podcast for long or watched these videos for long, you'll know that many years ago I used to be a shelf stacker, and I spent about 12 years of my life as a shelf stacker. Now, if there is anything that is the most boring or monotonous thing in the world, it is stacking shelves all day or all night like I used to do it. But I had a dream, and not as big as Martin Luther King's, but I had a dream that I would love to be a writer. I would love to write books. I would love to write kids' books. I used to listen to podcast episodes. Again, I mentioned that in one of the previous videos, but I used to listen to a lot of podcast episodes at night time, and that was another thing I would love to have done. I would have loved to, had an audience, had a little show, used to like the Barry show, but I'd like to have a little audience and I'd like to speak to them regularly. But at the back of my mind, well, it was probably more to the front than the back because it used to come up regularly, but when I would have a thought like that, probably the next second thought I would have after that was, what will they think? Now, I used to think, well, if I start writing, what if the people at work find out that I'm writing and publishing books? What will they say? How will they laugh at me? If they do maybe a Google search and they find out maybe that I've been writing articles, if they come upon my name, what will they think of me writing articles? And again, for the longest time, I put them far, far ahead of me. Their opinion was more important than my own. Their opinion was more important than me starting a book. Their opinion was more important than me writing podcast episodes. Their opinion was so important, and yet it wasn't really. Even as I am making these videos and these podcast episodes, something that stopped me for the longest time actually speaking to camera again was, what will they think? What will people think when they watch my videos? What opinion will they have about me? What will they think of my voice? What will they think of my accent? What will they think of the content I'm writing? And unfortunately, that held me back for the longest time as well, because I had these people's opinions, these fictitious people's opinions, unfortunately, in my head, worrying about what will they think. And again, it stopped me for the longest time. And it may be stopping you for the longest time. It may be stopping you from doing whatever it is you are looking to do, because you have this fear of, what will your family think? What will your neighbours think? What will your friends think? What will all those nameless, faceless people on the internet think of you? And I'm here to tell you that they're always going to have an opinion of you. Doesn't matter what you do. I remember Jamie Alderton of the Mindset with Muscle podcast fame. He had said in one of his episodes that people are always going to have an opinion of you, good or bad. He said even if he raced into a house to rescue a box full of kittens, somebody would still think he was a prat, or he was a show off, or he was this, or he was that, even though he done something, as he said, that probably couldn't be looked at in a negative way. But you're always going to find people who are negative. If you look to Twitter at the moment, it's a complete shit show. Everybody has an opinion on something, and unfortunately it's never good. And I think if you hang around on platforms like that, if you have hang around and listen to the haters and how easily it is to criticize people and pull them down, a lot of people don't like sticking the head above the parapet, don't like taking risks, don't like doing something new because of this fear of those people. Now again, when I was starting off writing, one of the things that probably saved me in the beginning was that I was doing kids book. The chance that anybody I worked with buying a kids book on Amazon in the Kindle store was very, very rare, so they probably weren't going to find out about my book. And again, when I moved on further and I started to get into children's fiction and adult fiction, again, there was a couple of times I used pen names, so the chances that anybody would actually know that it was me, again, was very, very slim. But I did find over time that as I started doing things, I found that nobody really cared. To tell you the truth, nobody really cared that I was doing picture books. Again, you would probably get the odd bad review, but sometimes you get some nice reviews. You'd have somebody thanking you for writing that children's book. You would have somebody wondering when your next book is coming out. You would find a nice comment maybe underneath a YouTube video, or you would find somebody maybe talking about a podcast episode or whatever, but you would find people would say nice things. So it's not always negative things that people are going to say about your content. And really, should you really be worried about the negative things people are going to say? Because the easiest thing is to be a critic, the easiest thing is to find fault in something, and the easiest thing is to pull somebody down. So if you are holding yourself back because you're worried about what they think, again, the majority of times people aren't thinking that much about you. Again, you know, they probably have a lot going on in their mind. They're probably worried about coronavirus, Trump, or something like that, and that is probably taking up the majority of their mind right now. And the small portion they have for you is probably minuscule, and again, you're probably as tiny as a fart in a hurricane. You will pass by unnoticed. So if you are holding yourself back because, you know, you're worried about what they think, again, most of those people aren't thinking, and the easiest thing to do is to pull you down. And when you really think about it, you know, should you really give those people, you know, your mental bandwidth or even your time? Because anybody who isn't supporting you, anybody who isn't willing to stand behind you and, you know, share your content or even give a thumbs up on Facebook or something like that, are they really worth your time at all? Because, you know, if they're not supporting you, well, should you really care what their opinion is? So if you are holding yourself back because, you know, you are worried about what they think, I'm here to tell you, just go and do it anyway. You know, those people I worked with on night shift, they never found out that I was a published author. I doubt they've even known that I've got a blog. I doubt they'll even come upon these YouTube videos or even listen to this podcast episode. They'll never know that I'm doing all these things. But as I said, I built them up in my head. I held myself back for the longest time, but I found that when you actually go ahead and do it, there's not that many people actually pay attention to what you're doing. So don't hold yourself back any longer. Get out there and do it. Make your stuff, make your videos, record your podcast episodes, write your books, whatever it is. Forget about those people, because if they're not willing to support you, they're not really worth your time at all. So go ahead, get out there, go create something, and best of luck with it. Now, if you'd like to know more about me, or if you'd like to ask me a question, or you'd like me to cover something in an upcoming podcast or episode of these videos, you're very welcome to reach out to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to know more where these episodes are, if you simply do a search for WriteCome, now you'll find a lot of content on the web with WriteCome attached to it. If you use maybe the hashtag WriteCome, you'll find all the content. But that's WriteCome.com. And if you head on over to the WriteCome website right now, the blog, you'll find a great free report on it, which is called Words to Wealth. And in it, I'm going to show you 10 ways you can make money from your keyboard. And in some of those cases, you don't even need to be a great writer to do that. So if that's something that intrigues you, if you'd like to know more about that, head over to the WriteCome site, download the free report, give it a go, and let me know how you get on with it. And as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. Take care. Have a great day. Bye bye.